Welcome to the next part in the series of So You Want to Create an Incremental. So if you haven't watched the previous parts, I suggest doing them before watching this one. So on the previous part we made the view base, but what troubled me is that there was a lot of repeating code, and that's bad code. So on this episode we will make the code better, and we will actually implement the other layers or other columns of production, and we'll also make the buy a new layer button. We won't be doing any layout changes on this episode, but the game will be a lot more playable. And also I made a change so that I already coded the part so that there won't be any weird issues on making the video. So I basically made it already, but now I will do it again for the purpose of the video. Okay, so what we want to do first is, because we have this generator, this is just an object, but we want to actually make a class for the generator, so that we wouldn't have to do this kind of thing, because this is a lot of recurring code. So we'll just make a generator.js, and in here we'll do class generator. Okay, so I made a bad job explaining how the classes work on the original video, so I added this part to further explain how it works. So basically a class is a bit like an object, but the difference is that you can easily create new classes. For example, here we have a car, and you make a new car by saying new car, and then you give it the parameters that you see here. On the video I use props, which is basically an object, but here we see that we only pass a string, which is the name of the car. And all cars start with 40 liters of gasoline and 100,000 kilometers mileage. And these basically, the reason why there's this underscore, it's basically a security thing or privacy thing, so that the original thing doesn't get modified directly. But we didn't do that on the video, so if you want to do it you can, but I didn't do it because you need to write these getters and setters for it, which work this way. And you can also define functions to classes like this, where you drive a certain amount of kilometers. If you don't have enough fuel, it returns and doesn't do anything, and then remove some fuel from the car and adds mileage, and you call it basically like this. So you say the car to a variable, and then you call the variable dot the function name, and you can get the properties like this. And classes need a constructor, and it takes props, which are basically these are the props we're gonna give it. So this name equals props name, and the same for each other. Okay, and the next thing we'll add is we'll add a getter whether we can buy. So get can buy, and this cost is less than equal to player money. And then we need a buying function, so to buy one of these generators, if this can buy, because this is a getter, you don't have to make these, so you can just call it like this. So if we can't buy, then we return reduce the money. Actually, we can, I think, just copy this one. G is basically this. We don't need this. Reduce this cost. Actually, these are also, you can Control D to select multiple of the same, and then just like if you paint this dot and then you press Control D, it will choose the next occurrence like this. Okay, then we actually can also already do the thing where the multiplier increases when you buy 21 or 100. So if this bot module 100, so if it's divisible by 100, so 100, 200 or something like that, this mult times 5, and else if this bot, so if it's divisible by 25, then we multiply it by 3. Okay, then we need the calculation for production per second, because after we add multipliers, this is where we'll add the calculation. So production per second on this amount times this multiplier, and if this tier does not equal 0, then divided by 5, because we want the next tiers. The first tier will produce like 100%, 1 unit per second, but the later we can't make them produce so fast at the start because it would be just way too fast, so we'll divide it by 5. So it will produce 1 unit per 5 seconds. And then we return it. We also need to create a function that generates these generators. So create generator. It takes parameter tier and a type, because the type, like which column it belongs to, is it marketing or artist or lootbox team, it's gonna have different kind of cost increase. We actually, I think we need, because the columns are 1, 2 and 3, we're gonna need a function that returns the column from, because this type will be the string for like marketing. Yeah. So function get column from type, and then we're gonna make this thing called switch. So we'll basically pass it a variable, and then we match it with cases. So if switch, the type is marketing, then we'll return 1. If the type is artists, then we'll return 2, and if the type is lootbox team, then we'll return 3. Okay, so now we get the column from this, from the type. So get column and type, and then we'll make the generator, and the name is gonna be actually we need a generator function for the name also, because I was thinking there would be multiple kinds of names, but when we run out of names, it will just like add a Roman number 2 at the end of it. So the first one would be something 1, and then when you run out of names, it will turn to something 2. So let's actually make that one also. Generator name. We need a tier, so and type. Let's make another switch case for the type. So actually we need also the arrays for the different kinds of names. Marketing names. What was it called in player? Facebook ad campaign number 1. Let's just take this. Const artist names. Let's call this deviant art. Deviant art artist. And loot box team. Which game has a lot of loot boxes? CSGO. So Valve interns. So marketing names, and the index we want is tier module marketing names. I don't know how you produce this. I would produce it modulo, but module, mod, something like that. Or marketing names length, so it won't go over it, and it will dynamically create these when we add new names to the array. I don't want to spend time now thinking about new names, but also there's no like Roman type thing here yet, but we'll make that later because it's not that important right now. So artist names, and the last one is lootbox team names. Alright, so the name is generator name, tier and type. And the cost is gonna be mathpal tier times column plus 1. I actually tested this out a bit and I modified the math a bit because so that it would be better. So I'm not sure if these are the original ones I made on the plan, but I pretty much just tested them out and changed things a bit. Multiplier is 1, amount is 0, you've bought 0, and the tier is tier. And then we'll just return, because we have this constructor, then we'll just return new generator, and we'll give it this G because it has all these same variables. We can just pass it here. Oh wait, yeah. Okay, So I think this is done. So the next thing that we're gonna do, another thing we're gonna fix, is this is pretty redundant. So we're gonna make a view component for the generator. And so we're gonna make, in the JS folder, we're gonna make a subfolder called components. And then we're gonna make a component called generator.js. Alright. So you make a view component by view, what the fuck? Component, name of the component generator, and then it takes prop, the generator as a prop, so props generator is generator, and the data it has is wait, let's just make this, we might use it later. So update, wait, we actually, I don't think we need this. Format, we need the formatting function here also. Alright. And then, because it's a component, it needs a thing called template. And you'll need to use these backticks to make like multi-line strings. I don't know how you'll do it on your keyboard, but basically you need this kind of backticks. So div, I actually have a bit of like extensions for view, which for like first they autocomplete the template divs or elements, and also they highlight the HTML syntax in them. I could probably link them to the description, the ones I use. I have a few. Anyway, we can actually just copy this from here. We don't need this one. This will be, it's in the prop, so we can just call the prop here. And the by will be generator by. Okay. Alright. And then we'll need to add it to the index. So basically, wait, if I add it here, it will be this class, and here it will also have the same. So I think we can just remove this class. It needs to have a container, or otherwise it will cry about it. So you can just remove these. So here we'll just call generator, and it needs the generator as a prop. Actually, I think you need to pass it like this. Generator. And then we'll just copy paste this over it. And it should work. just like that. Let's fix the indentation. Right, we can just delete these like this, and we need to, yeah, what we'll do next is make our production loop. So basically now we only have the first marketing producing money, and we want the second marketing to produce the first marketing, so we'll make a function produce previous generator array and difference between updates for let I be 1, so we don't take the first one because it produces something else. I is smaller than generator array length and output plus. And let G be generator array I and generator array I means 1 amount plus equals G production per second difference. Okay, we can actually make this a getter because it doesn't really do anything, it just returns stuff, unlike buy. So we can, instead of calling the function, we can just make it like this. Okay, so in here we want the first marketing amount, the first marketing to produce money, and the second we want, or I mean the first artist we want to produce graphics, and the third one doesn't really produce anything, it just makes time go faster depending on how many of the first one you have. So produce previous that player artists difference, and then the same for, or actually let's make it marketing and loot box team, and that should do it. And the last thing we need is the button that gives you more layers, and we could actually just make a components out of it. So add generator button use .js and view. Why does it always autocorrect do that? View component add generator button and props. Let's see. We want to know which type of generator we'll be adding. So target string. We don't have data on here. Methods. Format amount, so we can see how much it costs. Add generator So if player graphics is smaller than this, we'll actually need a function to get the cost. Tier cost. Return math how 10. This is actually a bit like, so we'll take the target out of this, and like this is marketing or artists or lootbox team, so we'll get the array with this. But this is basically quite dangerous to do this much coding without actually testing it, because we could, when we eventually test it, we could face quite a few problems. But I like to live dangerously. So if you have less graphics than the cost, I also modified this formula a bit, because on the original formula you got way too many tiers way too fast. So I added +1 and this here. Player, this target, push, create generator, and the tier will be player, this target, length, and the type will be this target. Okay. And then we just need to add it to the index.html after the generator. So add generator button. Fuck. And the target will be, on this will be marketing. Okay, so the reason we'll add double dot here, is this double dot? I don't know, but not here, is because this is basically a JavaScript object that we get from here, but this is just text. It's not an object that comes from somewhere, because if we do this, it will try to find something called marketing, like an object or a variable, but it couldn't find it, so it just breaks. So we'll just need to pass it as a string, and then we'll just add it here and the targets, and we're done. The next step would be to test this out. Let's see how bad it breaks. Okay, it broke. Then we'll just check the console. Cannot read property production per second of undefined. Add the game loop. Oh, I think the reason, because on here we just push this thing here, and we actually one big thing we forgot to do is add these new files here. So we'll just new generator. This should work, and then we'll need the generator. We'll need it before player, because we call new generator on player, and then we'll need the components. Components. Add generator button.js. Yep. Let's see here. Cannot read property. Production per second of undefined. Game loop line 13. So I get it, because we don't have any artists, so this is undefined. We need to actually add the first artist. Our first artist is, and it starts with 30. Multiplier is, these are pretty much the same, but the name was, what was it? DeviantArt artist. And then we'll just push it. Player artists. Push. New generator. First artist. And then we'll just try it out. And we have something else. Unknown custom element generator. Did you register the components correctly? Define view component before new view. Oh, that's what causes it, because we load these components after we load index.js, so we just need to load it before, but still after view.js, because it uses view. So now it should work. Okay, different error. Generator is not defined. Yeah, we need to load the generator before, because we use it here. So it's just a matter of loading order. Template or render function not defined. Oh, we totally forgot we need to add the template for this. So we need to make the container for this, because it will break otherwise, and then we'll just add a button. We'll style it later. On click it will add generator and one more tier. Costs format tier cost. Graphics. Okay, so why is this box a bit on the side? Okay, doesn't do anything with this. This can buy is not a function. Wait, was it can buy before? Yep. Good work, good work. Great job. I is not defined. Generator by. Oh yeah. this needs to be this tier. Yeah. And now we have it producing, but the cost is weird and it's producing really slowly. Wait, do we actually have in here the... Oh yeah, we don't have the tier here. So the tier for these should be 0. And now it produces like it should, and it didn't go. None. And we'll just have to play this and see if these later tiers work. It's producing it. Perfect. So we have everything like that under control. Then we'll just need to add like this kind of thing. Yep. I think we're about done for this tutorial. On the next one we'll improve the usability, so we'll probably make this a one big button. We'll make this one prettier, and we'll actually change the color based on whether you can or can't buy it, so it's much easier to buy. And we'll probably also add like so you can buy more than one at once, and maybe style this a little bit more, so a little bit more aesthetic on the next episode, and playability and quality of life improvements, because I think we have also, I think we need to, on this thing, because it's supposed to make the game go faster, we also need to do that on the next episode. I'm not sure if we can make all of those in one video. Let's try. Anyways, I'm not gonna thank you for watching, so bye.